Hi, this is the YouTube channel Cooking with Bruce and Mark, and I'm Mark Scarbrough. In these episodes on this channel, Bruce and I alternate taking a deep dig into ingredients and dishes, and in this case, something that you wouldn't maybe expect, because what's in this pot is the makings of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire, you say? Don't people just buy that bottle stuff, that Lee & Perrins? Yeah, they do, and they don't know what they're missing. Worcestershire sauce is a complex, spicy, sweet, umami mix. It is at its core, oh, it smells like heaven. It's at its core an anchovy sauce. If you've ever had garum, which is a fermented anchovy sauce, very common in the Roman Empire, made somewhat of a revival recently. If you've ever had garum, you've had the kind of makings and beginnings of Worcestershire sauce with many, many more spices. This is how to make your own, this umami bomb in this pot. So here's the whole panoply of ingredients that make up Worcestershire. I'm going to start with 4 cups or about 950 milliliters, just shy of a liter of malt vinegar. Malt vinegar. You may be familiar with it from fish and chips. It has a little bit of a savory background to it. It's not quite as acidic and poppy as some other vinegars. Don't worry, I'm going to get there, because this has to be a sweet, sour, spicy, fishy, umami mixture. And then the same amount, 4 cups, a quart, or a little shy of distilled white vinegar. Just plain distilled white vinegar. This is the high acid product. So it has a great deal of pop and flavor behind it. Okay, after that, now I'm going to try to up the umami flavors in it. And to do that, I'm going to add 2 cups or about 475 milliliters of soy sauce. This is crucial. 2 cups or 475 milliliters of soy sauce. And now part of the sweet is 1 cup or 260 grams of tamarind concentrate. Pay attention to those words, tamarind concentrate, not tamarind paste. This is that Caribbean, slightly sour, sweet fruit that is going to give this a kind of background taste behind it that will give us just a little bit of, for lack of a better word, Caribbean feel, something like that. And if you were worried about the sweet, don't worry about the sweet yet, because I'm going to add 2 cups or 650 grams of molasses. That's 2 of these jars. These jars is a cup, and I'm going to add 2 cups or 650 grams of molasses. So far, that's all my liquid, as I said, and all of my wetter ingredients. Now here's what else I'm going to add to this. I'm going to add 2/3 of a cup or about 190 grams of kosher salt. 2/3 of a cup or about 190 grams of kosher salt. Why kosher? It has a slight mineral edge to it. It'll actually help the Worcestershire sauce a great deal. And then I'm going to add mustard seeds. Mustard seeds are crucial to this. Here's what you want. You want a 50-50 combo of yellow mustard seeds and the much spicier brown mustard seeds. That's going to be about, for lack of better knowledge, it's going to be about 80 grams of brown mustard and about 75 grams of yellow mustard seeds. You can play with this. You could add more brown if you want it to be spicier. You could add more yellow than brown if you want it to be a little sweeter. In the end, again, you're looking for about 160 grams of mustard seed, 155 grams of mustard seeds total. I like a 50-50 mix. You might do different than that. So that's the first of my spices, and now goes the crazy amount of spices that are going to follow. So I'm going to start here. I got 2 tablespoons of whole cloves. That's about 12 grams. I've got 2 tablespoons or about 10 grams of coriander seeds. I've got a tablespoon or about 8 grams of black peppercorns. I've got a tablespoon or about 10 grams of white peppercorns. And I've got a tablespoon or about 8 grams of ground dried turmeric. All of that spice into the pot. 4 medium yellow or white onions, roughly chopped. This is about 30 chiles de arbol, the dried, long, thin red chilies. You can use hot Chinese red, long, thin chilies. I'm using, again, it's hard to say, I'm using about 30 of them, and they've been chopped up. You want them chopped up because you want seeds and all. This has got to have a little kick to it, and that's our kick, to be honest with you. That's what we want for the kick. I have got, oh my God, I have got a ton of garlic. I have got about 12 smashed garlic cloves. You don't have to mince this, just smash it up so there's a lot of surface area that is present. Some of these garlic cloves that I'm using are elephantine. You can see this is just a piece of one that is kind of giant. So, okay, that counted as 2, but 10, 12, 14 garlic cloves, somewhere in there. And you know what? I've lost my spatula in my pot. Oh my God. So now that comes out. There's all my garlic going in. And now 24, about, again, you can fudge this, 24 cardamom seeds. Crush these with the side of a knife on a cutting board so they're crushed open. So I'm going to use that much smashed up cardamom pods. And in addition to all of that, I have 4 cinnamon sticks. I have 2 star anise cloves, and then I have a 2-inch or about a 5-centimeter piece of fresh ginger that I have peeled and cut into small little bits. You don't have to mince it, just small little bits. And now the pièce de résistance, the thing that you can add and make to your heart's content, and that is the anchovies. I have got 2 2-ounce tins of anchovies drained and chopped up. That's about 15 anchovy fillets. They're drained, they're chopped up, they're going to go in here. This is an anchovy sauce at its heart. That's what we want as that big, giant umami flavor. Stir this around, make sure that molasses is nice and dissolved. I don't feel it giving me any resistance in the pot. Now I'm going to turn this on and I'm going to bring it to a simmer and I'm going to let it simmer about 10 minutes. Then comes the real magic. Okay, I'm boiling away. Now for the magic. I took 2 cups of sugar, or about 400 grams of granulated white sugar, and I caramelized it in a pan. I just put it in this pan over the heat, stirred it occasionally, let it melt, stirred it some more, let it melt. The darker this gets, the darker this tastes. And there's a second thing that this sugar is going to do for this. It's going to give it a mouthfeel, because we're going to refrigerate this and let it age for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. It depends on how long you'd like to age this. I think about 2 months is right. 3 weeks is the minimum. But as this sets in the refrigerator, of course, it's going to thicken up like sugar does, and it's going to give it this great mouthfeel. So make sure your pot now is boiling 10 minutes, because this is going to roil like crazy. That sugar is now wadded up a bit down there at the bottom. I can feel it. So what I want to do now is let this cook for 5 minutes at a fairly good boil, stirring almost the whole time. So when we come back, I want to talk about what to do with this unbelievable concoction that you've made. Okay, so that's it. This has come off the stove. It's all made. Now it has to ripen. What has to happen is this has to be covered and put in the fridge for, as I said, 3 weeks minimum. You can go up to 12 weeks. I think 2 months is perfect. After it's aged for however long you want it, you have to strain it. So it's going to require you to put this over a fine mesh sieve and dump it into, I'd say, a 1-gallon jar. It needs to be a large glass, non-reactive container. Don't put it in a reactive pottery vessel in which the acids can react with the glazes. Glass is really best. So you're going to strain it into that. I said a fine mesh strainer. That's really important. If you don't have a fine mesh strainer, then you can line a regular colander with a double layer of cheesecloth and strain it through that, although you'll have to go slowly. So once you've done that, you've gotten it aged, you've strained it out, keep it in the fridge, and here's what you do with it. Drizzle it on scrambled eggs. Use it as a marinade for any beef you want to grill. If you got Chinese dumplings, takeout or homemade, mix half Worcestershire sauce with half seasoned rice vinegar. Perfect dip. Sprinkle it just a little bit into beef stews. Use it as a drizzle on top of greens like asparagus. Mix it with butter and use it as a drizzle sauce on that. It is unbelievable. It is so complex, so flavorful, salty, sweet, spicy, umami. This is the thing you want to make. For more videos on this YouTube channel, make sure that you subscribe to Cooking with Bruce and Mark. For this recipe, look in the details to this video below. There's the entire ingredient list sitting right there. Subscribe to the channel. Don't miss another deep dig. I think there's all kinds of crazy things, even root beer, coming up on our Deep Dig series. And check out our podcast, Cooking with Bruce and Mark, wherever you get podcasts, Spotify, Deezer, iTunes, Apple, wherever you get them. Bruce and I are together on the podcast, being a little bit crazy, a little bit irreverent, a little bit dirty. It's a kind of crazy podcast. Check us out there. We'd love to connect with you anywhere and make the Worcestershire sauce.